As all of you know, the other day I went on a very, very strong, staunch, raw, unedited rant like you've probably never heard me before. Like, I was really into it. And like I told you in the video, I didn't even expect to go off like that, but it really, really got to me. And then I get this story that falls into my lap shortly after it, to the point where I did not immediately record the video after that because I needed time to cool down. Clearly, like, I was literally, like, my mind was just out there with it. Like, I didn't want to put myself through any more added stress after going off the way that I did with that video. So rest assured, I'm calm now. You don't have to worry about me going off or going crazy with this story. Reason being, because I let out all my frustration in that video. Second reason, what I'm about to share with you with this story is not uncommon, because I've talked about this kind of thing before. And that is, you have these PC kids and their PC teachers and the PC administration holding mock slave auctions in school. How many times have we heard that, especially when they're doing it during Black History Month, which is a different take now, because usually that's when they like to do it, is during that time. So it doesn't surprise me. And it happened in North Carolina, which also, again, doesn't surprise me. And these be the same people that say that we need to get over slavery, but it seems to me like they can't. At least they can't get over the role they played in it. We need to keep a mental note of this, because this is all the evidence we continuously need when it comes to getting our reparations. And sidebar, I just realized on the kid's shirt it says class of 2026. Whew, that just kind of like blew me away just looking at that number. But anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, but in this picture you see a family right here, and you see a mother, a father, and their son right there in the middle. Now, you want to know what's so interesting about this? We just had Kim Potter get sentenced to a very small fraction amount of time for the murder of Dante Wright. And he comes from a mixed background. He has a white mother and a black father. And they didn't really get the proper justice that they should. And even when she got up there and spoke, I never did a video about it, but she got up there and she spoke about, she knows her position as a white woman in America, but she knows that her position shifts the minute that, of course, that she has a child that is not completely white or one that is mixed. And then she realizes that with Kim Potter, the privileges that she has as a white woman killing what would be seen as a black individual in America. The same is probably going to be said about her, because she is a white woman who procreated with a black man and produced what you see in the middle. And guess what? When they held this mock slave auction, they weren't talking about a biracial child or a mixed child. In that moment, they saw him as a nigger. And as you can clearly tell, unlike Mike McDaniel, her son, or their son, I should say, cannot pass. Like, you could never tell me, I could never walk down the street and walk past him and say that I couldn't tell who he is just by looking at him. Like, clearly, you already know. Shoot, there's other black people out there that have that same kind of complexion as him, and they aren't even mixed. But the point I'm gathering is, to all the people out there who are biracial, and I have to bring this up again, if you are biracial or mixed and everything like that, let's see how far that actually gets you. Because I'm noticing now that a lot of people who are falling into the category of mixed or biracial are slowly getting their wake-up calls more often than they used to get it. Or at least it's being more publicized now for people to actually see it, that you cannot escape your blackness, especially if you can't even pass. And clearly you can look at this boy and tell he could not pass at all. Like, you would never get confused as to is he or isn't he. But I just had to put that out there. But let me go ahead now and get into the article that was posted March 15th, 2022. It says a mother says her son was sold by students in a mock slave auction. School district votes unanimously on action plan. And they say we don't need a anti-black hate crime bill. What do you call this? What does this fall under? What category is this? A North Carolina school board voted unanimously Monday to approve an action plan after reported racial bullying in the district, including student-organized mock auctions of black students. A group of parents and community members had called on the Chatham County School District to make changes after several reported racial bullying instances at schools in the district. In a Facebook post, March 4th, Ashley Palmer said her black son told her that some of his students were sold in a mock slave auction at J.S. Waters School, which serves grades K through 8. Our son experienced a slave auction by his classmates, and when he opened up, we were made aware that this type of stuff seems to be the norm, so much that he didn't think it was worth sharing. Now listen to that. K through 8. So you're talking kindergarten through 8th grade. And I know that in 8th grade, that's usually kids who are ages 13, 14. In my rant, what were the ages of those students? See where I'm going with this? They aren't even in high school yet, or high school age. These aren't even college age adults. These are kids who are barely into their teens, or, just getting ready to enter their teenage years. Where are they getting this? This is a rhetorical question. We know where they're getting it. His friend went for $350, and another student was the slave master because he knew how to handle them. Palmer wrote in her post. She wrote that students also sang the N-word. I gotta ask Joe Rogan, was this taken out of context? To all the Joe Rogan supporters, was this taken out of context? I just want to know. In a later post, Palmer said the students involved in the auction received a whopping 1-day suspension, and alleges her son was assaulted by a classmate and has faced continuous harassment at the school since he reported the incident. CNN was unable to reach Palmer for additional information. During public comment at the Chatham County School Board meeting Monday, several students and parents and community members spoke to the board about their experiences with racism and concerns over the incident. One mother, who said her son was one of the children allegedly sold in a mock slave auction, told the board about the conversation she had with him after hearing from another parent what happened. I asked my son, why didn't he tell me? He responded with, "Mom, it wasn't a big deal." Now that right there is heartbreaking to hear. This is a black child telling his mother that the reason he didn't tell her about what was going on is because he believed, or he felt, it wasn't a big deal. This is her black child telling her that. Now, this is not the ones I'm in the picture I'm talking about. This is another family. He felt that it wasn't a big deal to tell his mother that he was on an auction block being sold like a slave. Now it's making me question the parents. What are you teaching the children? Because we know the schools ain't teaching them this. That's out the way. They don't even want CRT in the schools, even though it's not in public schools, it's a collegiate level, but that's another story for another day. What are these parents not teaching their kids? Because I can't say what are they teaching them, because clearly it's not about this. That's why I thank God for the new black media. At least we are out here. And I'm so glad when I hear people who watch my videos say that they watch this with their families. Because when I look at my analytics, I don't reach an audience, because they start the ages from 13 and up. I don't reach an audience from 13 to 17. My biggest audience are people in my age range and the age range above mine. That's my two biggest demographics as far as ages go. I don't have a reach with the teenagers, 13 to 17, which means this boy in the picture, he would never watch my commentaries. The one who just said that, Mom, it wasn't a big deal, my commentaries would not reach him. The only way my commentaries would reach kids those age is their parents would have to have already been watching me, and they'd have to sit them down and make them watch my videos. And even then that wouldn't work, because it's still counting towards their demographic and not theirs, because they're not organically watching me as far as age range goes. And that's fine, because we already know the kind of stuff they're into and watching. This kind of stuff they feel like it doesn't apply, but the thing is it does, because Dub S does not discriminate on age. It doesn't discriminate on gender. It doesn't discriminate on your sexuality, none of that. The common theme is you're black. Even if you fall into the category of biracial or mixed and you can't pass, such as this kid here, under the umbrella of Dub S, you a nigga. And when Dub S feels like it wants to touch you that day, it will touch you and you're going to feel the sting. Point blank, period. So these parents out here, y'all better tighten it up and tell your kids about the real and what's going on. Because I don't like having to have read that statement that I just read from this boy, the child of this mother. Mom, it wasn't a big deal. Are you serious? But anyway, let's continue. I am a mother who just had to explain to my son why being auctioned as a slave is unacceptable. This moment in my son's early life has already made him question playing the sport he loves with his friends, and I pray that this does not impact him mentally and socially going forward, which lets me believe that a lot of the friends he has are most likely PC. That's what I'm gathering from this, because when they keep mentioning friends and they said, things like that, most of them are PC. I also would like to know the demographics of this area. And from what I'm gathering, it is mainly PC. Goes back to the video I did when I was ranting. Why do these parents keep putting their kids in these institutions or around a lot of other people? I know you want to do, diverse and everything like that, but when they are the only black kid or one of the only 5 black kids, like in the other story, that's not diversity. They're being outnumbered. They are literally prey, and they're going to be hunted. And the fact that a lot of these kids allow themselves to go up there to be mocked and be sold as quote unquote chattel lets you know they are not aware of what's going on in the world. And you would think that even if they don't get it in schools, because we know they're not going to learn about it in schools, that you will see or use real world actions that have been going on for the last few years for them to understand what is going on. And like I said, it goes back to the parents. A lot of these parents are shielding their kids from the inevitable. I would rather them know the real now. That way, when they get out into the world, they already know how to handle things. And unfortunately, as a black person in this world, we are almost thrusted into adulthood very early. Like a lot of the times, especially for young boys, like a lot of young black boys don't get to experience that true transition of boyhood to manhood because of all the stuff we do as a boy seems very adult-like. No one likes to have to look over their shoulder every 5 minutes. No one wants to have to deal with oppression. In a perfect world, oppression wouldn't exist, but this world ain't perfect, unfortunately. And these parents have to really tell their kids what is going on. And not everybody is going to like you. Not everybody is going to be your friend. Before presenting the school board with an action plan, Superintendent Anthony Jackson offered an apology. Now, this Anthony Jackson is a black man. Why? And this is another thing I hate. Why is it whenever something racial happens, they always have to put a black person out there to smooth things over or do an apology or try to make it seem like, everything's going to be okay? No. What they should do is if they want to give an apology, put the people out there who are responsible for this auction and make them give the apology, as well as the ones who participated in it, as far as the quote unquote slave masters, them kids. Don't put someone else out there, because the superintendent did not approve this. I don't think any black person would approve or would have approved something like this. At least I hope not. But then again, I don't think I highly doubt that he did. So why is he giving the apology? He's not the one that said, hey, by the way, for a lesson, and they love to do that slave auction thing and hide behind a lesson or a history report. He didn't say, hey, go out there and do a mock slave trial, or not trial, mock slave auction. And then to hide behind racism, call it a history lesson. He said, as a father, as an educator, as a grandfather tonight, it was very difficult. It's difficult to sit here and listen to and hear and hear for our children. Schools are for our children. And as partners with parents, we are responsible for helping students realize their full potential. As many people identified tonight, creating safe environments for students is the first promise schools make to families. As a newcomer to our school system, into this community, before I offer any plans, I want to do something that needs to be done here publicly. I want to offer an apology to every single parent who has ever felt unsafe while in our care, to every student who has ever felt demeaned, disrespected, marginalized because of their race, ethnicity, sex, gender, religion, or disability. In Chatham County Schools, we proudly boast that diversity is our strength, and moving forward, it will be our intentional focus to ensure that this celebration includes everyone. Moving forward, my personal commitment to you is that we will do better, he continued. Jackson's action plan included changes in the district policy on how discriminatory situations will be handled from start to finish, including notification of parents and guardians, investigation, discipline, and social support, and resources for victim staff training, and an after action plan. Before I go any further, if this action plan, doesn't include some kind of charges, the same way that they wanted to hit the charges with those kids down in Florida for an alleged hate crime, then it's not much of an action plan. Because the action means just that, to spring into action and take action because you know the consequences for your actions. This also should be deemed a hate crime. Notice they don't speak of any charges, no arrests, no possible hate crimes. But when what allegedly happened down in Florida, charges, arrest, hate crime immediately. And those kids too, like this story and the other one, were middle school aged. And that one happened off the school property. See, again, two different Americas. The America we dwell in and the America they dwell in. Okay, I'm almost at the end. When reached for more information on the incidents, the Chatham County School District referred CNN to a letter that Jackson sent to the community in his comments during the school board, otherwise known as "we don't have anything to say because we are still trying to come up with a lie." But they sent the black superintendent out there to give an apology, and it wasn't, to me, a very strong one. Because, one, you shouldn't have apologized because you had nothing to do with it. It's just that it happened in your school district. It is what it is. But you have no control of what a lot of these individuals choose to do in their classrooms. And you can't tell me that was on the curriculum. They decided to do that. But like I said, these are the same people that get upset at the mere thought of CRT being taught in schools, just at the mere thought of it. But you have this situation here. You have the situation down in Louisiana that I ranted on. And that's supposed to be okay. Again, we still don't have an anti-black hate crime on the books. The Asians do. And all that happened with them was they just got called a couple names. Probably staged a few attacks to make them seem like they were so in such a victim state. Yeah, I said it. But here we are yet again. And like I told you, I promised I wasn't going to go off, and I didn't. Because at this point, I already got all my frustration with that last one. And what's so crazy is, like I said in the last one, they didn't have, unlike the one before it, they had documentation of what was going on. We saw it in the video. But this is just supposed to be business as usual, right? And this is not the first time this has happened. When they do these little, these quote unquote mock slave auctions. Like I told you, they are not far removed from their ancestors. They get off on this. They enjoy this. This is comedy to them. But anyway, I bet you if it was something in their history that was mocked, they would hop right on it. And maybe that's what needs to happen. I'm going to just leave that one right there. Y'all let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you are new. Make sure you go ahead and hit that bell to be notified every time I upload a new video or go live.